Imagine that success is a mountain. It is tall, majestic, with a peak that disappears into the clouds. Many people strive to climb it, but not everyone makes it to the end. Someone stops halfway, someone loses his bearings, and someone does not dare to take the first step. But there are people who steadily go up, without looking back at fears and doubts. These people know that success is not only luck or chance, but also the result of discipline, self-control, and following certain principles. Stay tuned to find out which habits will help you reach the top and how you can integrate them into your daily life. You'll be surprised how much these simple yet powerful principles can change your perception of success and open new horizons for you. 1. Taking responsibility for one's thoughts and actions. Taking responsibility for our thoughts and actions is a fundamental aspect of Stoicism that allows us to control our lives and achieve inner peace. The Stoics taught that we cannot control all external events, but we can control our attitudes and reactions to them. This idea becomes the basis for understanding how we can direct our lives in accordance with our inner values and goals. The first step to taking responsibility is to realize that our thoughts and actions shape our reality. We must realize that it is our inner beliefs and reactions that determine how we perceive and react to things. The Stoics believed that our inner world and our thoughts are of great importance, and they create our experience and perception of the world. Realizing this helps us become more aware and attentive to our thoughts and actions. The next step is to recognize our role in creating and solving problems. We must realize that many of the problems and difficulties in our lives are due to our own actions and decisions. The Stoics taught us not to look outside ourselves for culprits, but to recognize our responsibility for our actions and their consequences. This requires us to be honest and willing to admit our mistakes and work to correct them. Accepting responsibility also includes the ability to deal with negative emotions and stress. The Stoics believe that our emotions are the result of our inner beliefs and perceptions of events. We must learn to realize that our emotions are not something we cannot control, but rather are a reflection of our attitude toward events. This allows us to develop the ability to manage our emotions and maintain inner peace, despite external circumstances. It is also important to develop the capacity for self-reflection and self-awareness. The Stoics advised us to reflect regularly on our actions and thoughts to better understand their nature and impact on our lives. Self-reflection helps us to identify our weaknesses and shortcomings and to develop a more mature and conscious attitude toward ourselves and our actions. This requires honesty with ourselves and a willingness to work on ourselves to achieve inner growth and harmony. Taking responsibility for one's thoughts and actions is also related to the ability to set clear goals and strive to achieve them. The Stoics believe that having clearly defined goals helps us direct our efforts and resources toward achieving meaningful results. We should set goals that are consistent with our inner values and aspirations and work toward them with determination and perseverance. This includes developing strategies and action plans that will help us achieve our goals and overcome obstacles. Developing responsibility for one's thoughts and actions is also related to the ability to accept constructive criticism and feedback. The Stoics taught us to be open to the opinions of others and to use them for our own growth and improvement. We should take criticism as an opportunity for self-improvement and not let it undermine our self-esteem or self-confidence. Accepting and using constructive feedback helps us develop and improve as individuals. In addition, accepting responsibility requires us to be able to forgive ourselves and move forward. The Stoics believed that it was important not to dwell on past mistakes and failures, but to use them as lessons for future growth and development. We must learn to forgive ourselves for mistakes and focus our efforts on positive change and achievement. Forgiving ourselves and accepting responsibility for our actions helps us to free ourselves from internal burdens and move forward with clear purpose and determination. It is also important to remember that accepting responsibility is linked to developing personal discipline and self-control. The Stoics taught that discipline and self-control are essential to achieving inner peace and harmony. We must work on ourselves and develop self-control and discipline skills to be able to manage our thoughts and actions. This requires constant practice and self-awareness to maintain inner balance and achieve our goals. Ultimately, taking responsibility for one's thoughts and actions is the key to personal growth and inner peace. These principles help us to become more aware and purposeful, and to cope with challenges and difficulties on the road to personal development. The Stoics believed that through the realization of our responsibility we can achieve true harmony and fulfillment, despite external circumstances and difficulties. 2. Applying philosophy to everyday life. Applying philosophy to everyday life is a key aspect of Stoicism that allows us to integrate philosophical principles into our daily practice and behavior. The Stoics believe that philosophy should not remain a theoretical teaching, but should actively influence our behavior and decisions. This requires us to consciously apply philosophical principles to different areas of our lives in order to achieve inner peace and harmony. The first step in applying philosophy to daily life is to become aware of and implement basic Stoic principles. Stoic principles such as accepting the inevitable, controlling our reactions, and paying attention to our inner state can become the basis for our daily behavior. The Stoics taught us that philosophy should become part of our way of life, not just a set of abstract ideas. We must apply these principles to real-life situations so that they become the basis for our decisions and actions. The next step is to develop the habit of constant self-observation and introspection. We must learn to regularly analyze our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors to see how they are consistent with our philosophical beliefs. This helps us to identify inconsistencies and work to correct them so that our behavior is consistent with our values and principles. The Stoics believed that self-observation and introspection were important tools for personal growth and development. Applying the philosophy also involves developing the ability to manage one's emotions and reactions. The Stoics taught us that we cannot control external events, but we can control our attitude toward them. We must learn to manage our emotions and reactions in order to maintain inner peace and harmony. This requires us to continually practice and become aware of our emotions, and to be able to respond to events with wisdom and poise. Developing and applying practical methods and techniques based on philosophy also play an important role. The Stoics believe that philosophical ideas should be implemented in practical actions and methods that help us cope with everyday challenges. This can include practices such as journaling, meditation, working on self-discipline, and other aspects that contribute to the application of philosophy in life. These methods help us integrate philosophical principles into our daily actions and decisions. The application of philosophy is also related to the development of inner harmony and stability. The Stoics taught us to strive for inner balance and harmony despite external circumstances. We must learn to find peace and contentment within ourselves rather than depend on external conditions and events. This requires us to constantly work on ourselves and to be able to find inner peace in all situations. It is also important to remember the need for constant improvement and growth. The Stoics believe that philosophy is a dynamic and evolving process that requires us to constantly work on ourselves and our beliefs. We should strive to constantly improve and evolve so that our philosophical principles become more and more integrated into our lives. This involves regular practice and self-development to keep in touch with philosophical ideas and apply them to everyday life. Applying philosophy to daily life also requires us to be aware of our weaknesses and shortcomings. The Stoics taught that it is important to be honest with ourselves and to be aware of our weaknesses so that we can work to overcome them. We must accept our shortcomings and work to correct them so that our behavior becomes more aligned with our philosophical beliefs. This helps us to become more mature and harmonious individuals. Ultimately, applying philosophy to everyday life is the process of integrating philosophical principles into our daily practices and behaviors. The Stoics believe that philosophy should actively influence our behavior and decisions rather than remain a theoretical teaching. It requires us to consciously work on ourselves and practice constantly so that philosophical principles become the basis for our inner peace and harmony. 3. Develop inner strength through the practice of self-control. Developing inner strength through the practice of self-control is a fundamental principle of Stoicism that allows us to maintain inner stability and confidence in all situations. The Stoics believed that true strength lies in the ability to control one's thoughts, emotions, and actions rather than depending on external circumstances. This requires us to constantly work on ourselves and practice self-discipline in order to develop inner stability and confidence. The first step to developing inner strength is to recognize the importance of self-control and discipline. We must realize that the ability to control our thoughts and emotions is the key to inner peace and harmony. The Stoics taught us that true strength lies in the ability to maintain a calm and clear mind despite external circumstances. This requires us to be conscious of controlling our emotions and actions in order to develop inner strength and resilience. The next step is to develop practices to strengthen self-discipline and control. We must apply various techniques and methods such as meditation, journaling, planning, and others to develop self-control and discipline. The Stoics believe that regular practice of these methods helps to build our inner strength and resilience. This requires us to practice in self-development on a regular basis so that our efforts bring real results. Developing inner strength is also related to the ability to cope with difficulties and challenges. The Stoics taught us that difficulties and challenges are part of life, and it is important to learn to deal with them with wisdom and calmness. We must develop the ability to see difficulties as opportunities for growth and development rather than obstacles to our goals. This requires us to have inner resilience and the ability to overcome difficulties with a positive attitude. It is also important to work on building inner self-esteem and self-confidence. The Stoics believe that inner self-esteem and confidence are the foundation for developing inner strength. We must develop self-esteem and confidence based on our values and principles. This helps us maintain our confidence and ability to overcome difficulties and challenges that come our way. Developing inner strength is also related to the ability to control our thoughts and beliefs. The Stoics taught that our thoughts and beliefs shape our perception of the world and our behavior. We must learn to become aware of and control our thoughts in order to channel them in a positive and constructive way. This helps us maintain mental clarity and inner peace despite external circumstances and challenges. Practicing self-control also involves developing patience and perseverance. The Stoics believed that patience and perseverance were important qualities for achieving inner strength and resilience. We must learn to be patient and persistent in our efforts to overcome obstacles and achieve our goals. This requires us to constantly work on ourselves and develop inner resources that will help us remain strong and confident throughout our journey. Developing inner strength is also related to the ability to manage our time and energy. The Stoics taught us to value our time and use it effectively to achieve our goals and development. We must learn to manage our time and energy to direct it to the most important and meaningful tasks. This helps us maintain focus and achieve our goals with greater efficiency and inner satisfaction. It is also important to develop the capacity for self-reflection and self-knowledge. The Stoics believe that understanding oneself and one's motives help build inner strength and resilience. We should regularly analyze our thoughts and actions to identify our weaknesses and work to correct them. This helps us develop inner harmony and self-confidence, which contributes to our overall inner resilience. Ultimately, developing inner strength through the practice of self-mastery is a process of continual self-improvement and working on oneself. The Stoics believe that inner strength and resilience are the result of the conscious application of philosophical principles and practices. This requires us to continually practice and strive to develop and strengthen our inner strength and confidence, which enables us to meet any challenges and difficulties on the path to personal growth and harmony. 4. Evaluating values and goals. Evaluating values and goals is an important aspect of Stoicism that allows us to align our lives with our inner beliefs and goals. The Stoics taught that understanding and evaluating our values and goals helps us find meaning and direction in life. This process involves deep reflection on what is truly important to us and how we can direct our efforts and resources toward meaningful goals. The first step in assessing values and goals is to become aware of our underlying beliefs and priorities. We must ask ourselves questions about what is really important to us in life, what values we want to hold, and what goals we seek to achieve. The Stoics believe that understanding our values helps us make informed decisions and guide our actions in accordance with our beliefs. This requires us to be honest with ourselves and willing to examine our inner motivations and aspirations. The next step is to analyze and revisit our goals and priorities. We should regularly assess whether our goals and actions are in alignment with our values and beliefs. The Stoics taught that it is important to review and adjust our goals to ensure that they remain relevant and in line with our inner aspirations. This process helps us avoid wasted effort and focus on what really matters to us. Developing clear and realistic goals also plays a key role in values assessment. The Stoics believe that setting specific and achievable goals helps us direct our efforts and resources toward realizing our values. We must learn to set goals that are consistent with our inner beliefs and aspirations and develop an action plan to achieve them. This requires us to be clear in defining our goals and persistent in achieving them. Evaluating values and goals also involves working to balance personal and professional priorities. The Stoics taught that it is important to maintain harmony between different aspects of life in order to achieve inner peace and fulfillment. We must learn to balance our personal and professional goals so that they support and complement each other. This helps us to avoid overload and stress and to find harmony and fulfillment in different areas of life. Developing the capacity for self-reflection and critical thinking is also part of the process of evaluating values and goals. The Stoics believed that the ability to analyze and critically evaluate our goals and values helps us to make more informed decisions. We must develop the ability to objectively evaluate our priorities and aspirations so that they are consistent with our inner beliefs and ideals. This requires us to be honest and self-reflective in order to identify and correct possible inconsistencies. Valuing values and goals also requires us to be willing to adapt and change. The Stoics taught that life is not static, and our values and goals can change over time. We must be willing to review and adjust our goals in response to changing conditions and new understandings. This helps us to remain flexible and adaptive and to achieve a deeper understanding of ourselves and our aspirations. An important aspect of evaluating values is the ability to remain honest and sincere with oneself. The Stoics believed that it was important to be honest with oneself and one's values in order to make informed decisions and follow one's true aspirations. We must learn to be honest with ourselves and avoid self-deception so that our goals and actions truly align with our inner beliefs. This requires us to continually work on ourselves and develop inner honesty. In addition, it is important to remember that evaluating values and goals is an ongoing process. The Stoics taught that we should regularly review and update our goals and values to ensure that they remain relevant and in line with our inner aspirations. This helps us stay in touch with our ideals and direct our efforts toward meaningful outcomes. Constant updating and reevaluation helps us stay on the path to personal growth and self-improvement. Ultimately, evaluating values and goals is a key aspect of Stoicism that helps us guide our lives in accordance with our inner beliefs and aspirations. The Stoics believed that understanding and honoring our values helps us find meaning and fulfillment in life. This process requires us to be constantly self-aware and willing to adapt so that our goals and actions truly reflect our true aspirations and ideals. 5. Acceptance of the inevitable. Accepting the inevitable is a central tenet of Stoicism that helps us maintain inner peace and resilience in the face of unchanging and unpredictable circumstances. The Stoics taught that accepting the inevitable allows us to focus on what we can truly control and frees us from unnecessary stress. And anxiety. It requires us to be able to see and accept the limitations of our power and control over external events. The first step to being able to accept the inevitable is to realize that there are things that are beyond our control. The Stoics believed that we cannot change many aspects of our lives, such as the weather, the opinions of others, or past events. It is important to understand and accept these limitations so that we do not waste our energy fighting those things we cannot change. This allows us to direct our attention and efforts to those aspects of life that we can control and improve. The next step is to develop inner calm and acceptance through the practice of self-observation and meditation. The Stoics taught that the regular practice of self-observation and meditation helps us develop inner calm and the ability to accept the inevitable. We must learn to observe our thoughts and emotions without letting them control our behavior and reactions. This requires constant practice and inner discipline to keep our minds calm and clear despite external circumstances. Developing the ability to accept the inevitable is also related to the ability to adapt to change and challenges. The Stoics believe that life is full of change and uncertainty, and it is important to learn to adapt to these changes with wisdom and flexibility. We must develop the ability to see change and challenges as opportunities for growth and development, rather than seeing them as obstacles. This helps us to maintain a positive attitude and find solutions to difficult situations. It is also important to work on developing inner resilience and sustainability. The Stoics taught that inner peace and strength depend on our ability to accept and cope with inevitable difficulties. We must develop inner resilience and sustainability to remain confident and at peace in the face of difficulties and challenges. This requires us to continually work on ourselves and to see difficulties as opportunities for personal growth and self-improvement. Practicing gratitude and positive thinking also helps in accepting the inevitable. The Stoics believe that the ability to see the positive aspects, even in difficult and unpredictable situations, helps us to maintain inner peace and harmony. We must develop the ability to be grateful for the lessons and opportunities that life presents us with, and to find the positive aspects in all circumstances. This helps us to remain optimistic and believe in the best, despite difficulties and challenges. Developing inner acceptance is also related to the ability to let go of control over those things that are beyond our influence. The Stoics taught that it is important to let go of our expectations and attachments to outcomes that we cannot control. We must learn to accept outcomes and circumstances as they are and focus on what we can change and improve. This helps us release the stress and anxiety associated with controlling the unpredictable aspects of life. It is also important to remember that accepting the inevitable is a process that takes time and practice. The Stoics believe that developing the ability to accept the inevitable is a path of constant self-improvement and inner growth. We must be patient and persistent in this process in order to gradually develop inner peace and resilience. Constant practice and working on ourselves helps us become more harmonious and resilient individuals. Ultimately, the ability to accept the inevitable is a key aspect of Stoicism that helps us maintain inner peace and confidence in the face of unpredictable and unchangeable circumstances. The Stoics believe that accepting the inevitable frees us from unnecessary stress and anxiety and allows us to focus on what we can truly control. This process requires constant practice and inner work on our part to develop resilience, calm, and harmony in our lives. 6. Finding inner peace through self-reflection. Self-reflection is a way of understanding ourselves, our goals, and aspirations. In a world full of external noise and distractions, the ability to stop and look within ourselves becomes especially valuable. The Stoics considered self-reflection a key element in achieving inner peace and harmony. It allows us to realize our true desires and values and to understand how to act on them. Self-reflection begins with realizing the importance of inner peace. External circumstances and external successes cannot bring us true happiness and satisfaction if there is chaos within. To find inner peace, it is necessary to take time to reflect on one's actions, thoughts, and feelings. The Stoics believe that inner peace is formed by constantly working on oneself and becoming aware of one's actions and motives. It is important to realize that self-reflection is not just a thought process. It is an active practice that requires us to be honest and open with ourselves. We must be willing to see our weaknesses and shortcomings, recognize mistakes, and learn from them. The Stoics taught that only through sincere self-reflection can we grow and develop. It is not always easy, but it is this work on ourselves that leads to real change. Self-reflection helps us find a balance between our inner and outer worlds. Often we focus on external achievements and social expectations, forgetting our own needs and values. The Stoics encouraged us to pay attention to what is going on within us and not to let external circumstances determine our state of being. When we understand our true desires and goals, it is easier to make informed decisions and act on them. One of the most important aspects of self-reflection is the ability to ask ourselves the right questions. These questions help us gain a deeper understanding of our motivations and aspirations. For example, what is really important to me? Or how can I act in accordance with my principles? Such questions direct our attention to what really matters and help us avoid superficial decisions and actions. The Stoics also emphasized the importance of regularity in the practice of self-reflection. It should not be a one-time exercise, but an ongoing practice that we should incorporate into our daily lives. Regular reflection helps us to stay on the right track, to adjust our actions and decisions, and to maintain inner balance. It is a time when we can evaluate our achievements and set new goals. Self-reflection is also related to understanding our emotions and reactions. We often act under the influence of our emotions without realizing why we are reacting that way. The Stoics taught us to be aware of our emotions and understand their sources. This allows us to better control our reactions and make more informed decisions. When we understand what triggers our emotions, we can deal with them more effectively and calmly. In the process of self-reflection, it is also important to consider the influence of the people and situations around us. Our relationships and environment can greatly influence our inner state. The Stoics advised us to choose environments and relationships that support our goals and values. We should be attentive to how our environment affects our state and make changes as needed to maintain harmony within ourselves. Self-reflection helps us develop a personal philosophy of life. This is a set of principles and values that guide our behavior and decisions. The Stoics believe that having a clear philosophy of life helps us stay on the right path and overcome challenges. When we know what is important to us and how we want to live our lives, we can make more informed and confident decisions. In addition, self-reflection helps us develop tolerance for ourselves. We are not perfect, and that's okay. Mistakes and failures are part of our journey. The Stoics taught us to accept ourselves as we are and to work on our weaknesses rather than criticize ourselves for them. Self-reflection allows us to be kind to ourselves and realize that we can always strive to improve, but we must not lose respect for ourselves. Self-reflection also helps us develop a sense of gratitude. When we realize our accomplishments and understand how we came to them, we begin to appreciate every accomplishment and every moment of life. The Stoics believed that gratitude was the key to inner peace and harmony. By recognizing our successes and the path we have traveled, we learn to enjoy life and be grateful for all that we have. In summary, self-reflection is a powerful tool for achieving inner peace and harmony. It is a practice that helps us understand ourselves, our goals and aspirations, and make informed decisions. Through self-reflection, we can develop a personal philosophy of life, develop tolerance and gratitude, and maintain inner balance and peace. 7. Accepting the inevitable and managing your attitude. Accepting the inevitable is an important aspect of Stoic philosophy. We cannot change everything that happens in our lives, but we can change our attitude toward those events. The Stoics taught us that true peace of mind is achieved through accepting those circumstances that we cannot change. It requires wisdom and inner strength to accept what cannot be controlled and to focus on what is within our power. Accepting the inevitable begins with realizing that there are things we cannot change. There are many factors and events in life that happen regardless of our desire or effort. The Stoics believed that we should accept these circumstances as part of our journey and focus on how we can respond to them. This helps us avoid the anxiety and stress that comes from fighting what we cannot change. Managing our attitude toward the inevitable requires us to be able to maintain inner peace. When we are faced with unpleasant events or difficult circumstances, it is important to remain calm and judicious. The Stoics taught that our inner peace should not be influenced by external conditions. We should strive to keep our minds centered and peaceful regardless of what is happening around us. Accepting the inevitable is also related to developing tolerance and flexibility. When we accept the inevitable, we learn to be flexible in our plans and expectations. This allows us to adapt to change and find new paths to our goals. The Stoics believed that flexibility of approach and tolerance of circumstances helped us to cope more easily with life's challenges and to find harmony in all situations. Managing our attitudes also requires us to take personal responsibility for our reactions. We cannot control external events, but we can control how we react to them. The Stoics taught us not to let external circumstances dictate our inner state. Our attitude toward events determines how we experience them and how they affect our well-being. Accepting the inevitable helps us focus on what is within our power. Rather than spending energy fighting what we cannot change, we should focus our efforts on improving what is truly up to us. This allows us to act more effectively and constructively and to achieve our goals despite external obstacles. The Stoics also emphasized the importance of the constant practice of accepting the inevitable. It is not a one-time task, but a constant work on ourselves. Every day we will face new circumstances and challenges, and it is important to constantly remind ourselves to accept them and manage our attitude. Regular practice helps us to build our resilience and maintain inner peace in all situations. Accepting the inevitable is also linked to the development of wisdom and understanding. When we accept the inevitable, we learn to see it as lessons and opportunities for growth. The Stoics believed that every event, even the most difficult, contains an opportunity for growth and self-improvement. We should strive to learn from every experience and use it for our own growth and progress. Managing our attitude toward the inevitable helps us to develop inner strength and resilience. When we learn to accept circumstances as they are, we become more confident in ourselves and our path. The Stoics believe that inner strength is found in the ability to cope with any adversity without losing faith in ourselves and our principles. Accepting the inevitable also teaches us to be grateful for what we have. When we stop fighting what cannot be changed, we begin to appreciate what we have and be grateful for every moment of life. The Stoics believe that gratitude is the key to inner peace and harmony. Accepting the inevitable helps us see the positive aspects of life and enjoy what we have. In sum, accepting the inevitable and managing our attitude is an art that helps us maintain inner peace and harmony. It requires wisdom, tolerance, and inner strength to accept what we cannot change and focus on what is within our power. Through this art, we can achieve true peace of mind and self-confidence despite any external circumstances. 8. The art of managing your emotions. Managing one's emotions is a key practice for achieving inner peace and harmony. Emotions, although a natural part of the human experience, can easily lead us away from the true path. The Stoics believe that emotions, if left unchecked, can disturb our inner balance and interfere with clarity of thought. It is therefore important to learn to understand and manage one's emotions so that they do not become a source of stress and anxiety. The first step to managing emotions is to recognize their origins. Emotions often arise from our internal beliefs and perceptions of events. The Stoics taught that emotions are not the problem themselves, but rather it is our thoughts and beliefs about events that cause emotional reactions. Understanding that emotions are the result of our interpretations helps us to realize that we can change our attitudes toward them. The next step is to develop self-awareness and mindfulness. We need to be attentive to our emotional states and understand when and why they arise. The Stoics believe that self-reflection and attention to our emotions helps us understand their roots and nature. This allows us to make more informed decisions and avoid impulsive actions triggered by emotions. Controlling emotions also requires the ability to not let them drive our actions. The Stoics taught us to remain judicious and not give in to emotional impulses. We should strive to act in accordance with our principles and goals rather than follow emotions, which can be fleeting and unstable. Managing emotions involves the ability to pause before reacting and to consider how our behavior can align with our values. Practicing emotion control is also related to developing emotional maturity. This includes the ability to accept our emotions without suppressing them and to find constructive ways to express them. The Stoics believed that accepting and recognizing emotions helps us to cope better and prevents the accumulation of internal tension. We should learn to express our emotions in a healthy way without letting them affect our inner state. It is also worth developing the ability to reframe our emotions. The Stoics taught us to reframe negative emotions and see them as opportunities for growth and learning. For example, if we feel anger, we can use it as a cue to think about what is bothering us and how we can change our situation. Reframing emotions allows us to see them as lessons and opportunities for self-improvement. Practicing emotional control also involves learning to let go of negative emotions and not holding on to resentments. The Stoics believe that holding on to resentment and anger only increases inner tension and prevents inner peace. We must learn to let go of past resentments and focus on the present moment in order to maintain harmony within ourselves. Emotional control is also related to developing the ability to remain calm in stressful situations. The Stoics taught us not to panic and to maintain clarity of thought when faced with difficulties. It takes practice and constant self-improvement to be able to maintain inner peace and confidence despite external circumstances. Developing emotional resilience also involves learning to manage one's expectations and accepting the unpredictability of life. The Stoics believe that uncertainty and surprises are part of life, and we must be prepared for them with an open and calm mind. Managing emotions helps us to adapt to change and find inner stability in all circumstances. The secret to effective emotion management also lies in regular practice and self-awareness. The Stoics advised us to practice paying attention to our emotions and working to control them on a daily basis. This can include meditation, self-reflection, and other practices that help us develop emotional stability and peace. Ultimately, the art of managing our emotions is a key aspect of Stoic practice that helps us achieve inner balance and harmony. It requires us to constantly work on ourselves, becoming aware of our emotions, and being able to act in accordance with our values and principles. Through this art, we can learn to better cope with life's challenges and maintain inner peace, despite any external circumstances. 9. Gradually adjusting your mindset to achieve your goals. Mindset tuning is an important aspect of achieving success and harmony in life. Attention to how we think and perceive our goals plays a key role in how effectively we can achieve them. The Stoics believed that our ability to direct our thoughts and emotions toward achieving goals begins with awareness and management of our inner beliefs. This requires conscious work to change our thinking and mindset toward success. A gradual mindset adjustment begins with becoming aware of one's goals and values. Before we can adjust our thinking toward goals, we need to clearly understand what we want to achieve and why it is important to us. The Stoics taught that clarity of goals and an understanding of their importance helps us guide our efforts and stay motivated. We must identify what really matters to us and how it relates to our personal values. The next step is to work on overcoming limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs can prevent us from moving forward and achieving goals. The Stoics believe that our inner limitations often stem from wrong beliefs and fears. We need to identify and overcome these limiting thoughts to make room for positive and constructive attitudes. This can include working on self-esteem and self-confidence. It is also important to develop a positive and constructive mindset. The Stoics believe that our thinking shapes our reality and influences how we perceive and react to events. We must learn to focus on the positives and opportunities rather than the obstacles and difficulties. Positive thinking helps us to stay motivated and find ways to solve problems rather than getting stuck in negativity and doubt. Attitude mindset is also related to developing tolerance for setbacks and difficulties. The Stoics taught us to see setbacks as part of the journey and opportunities for growth. We must learn to see difficulties as lessons and use them for our own development rather than letting them overwhelm us. Tolerance for setbacks helps us remain resilient and move forward despite obstacles. Working on attitudes and habits also plays an important role in tuning our thinking. Our habits and attitudes influence our behavior and perception of the world. The Stoics advised us to develop helpful habits that support our goals and values. This can include a regular practice of meditation, self-reflection, and other methods that help us maintain a positive and constructive mindset. Creating a clear strategy and action plan helps us direct our thinking toward our goals. The Stoics believe that having a clear plan and strategy helps us focus on specific actions and avoid distraction. We should develop a plan that includes the specific steps and actions needed to achieve our goals and follow it with discipline and persistence. Setting a mindset also involves regularly checking and adjusting one's goals and plans. The Stoics believed that it was important to regularly evaluate one's accomplishments and adjust one's goals to keep them relevant and in line with our changes and development. This allows us to stay on the right track and adapt to new circumstances and challenges. Working on mindset also requires constant practice and self-awareness. The Stoics taught us to constantly work on ourselves and be mindful of our thoughts and emotions. This helps us to maintain a positive and constructive mindset and to be prepared for change and new challenges. Constant work on mindset helps us develop resilience and self-confidence, which helps us achieve our goals. Ultimately, gradually adjusting one's mindset is a process that takes time, patience, and constant work on oneself. It is the art of shaping and directing one's thoughts and attitudes in a way that promotes goal achievement and maintains inner peace. The Stoics believed that proper mindset and attunement played a key role in achieving success and harmony in life. 10. The importance of self-reflection and self-observation. Self-reflection and self-observation are fundamental practices in Stoicism that help us deepen our understanding of ourselves and our motives. These practices give us the opportunity to analyze our thoughts, emotions, and actions in order to develop inner harmony and wisdom. The Stoics believed that self-reflection helps us to better understand our inner workings and to direct our lives in accordance with our values and goals. The first step in self-reflection is to create space for deep self-knowledge. It is important to set aside time for solitude and reflection to be able to honestly evaluate our thoughts and feelings. The Stoics taught us about the need for regular self-reflection to identify our inner contradictions and understand what drives our actions and decisions. This helps us to better understand ourselves and our true desires. The next step is to develop the ability to observe our thoughts and emotions without judgment. Self-observation requires us to be able to observe ourselves as if from the outside, without getting involved in emotions or judging ourselves. The Stoics believe that this approach helps us maintain clarity and objectivity, which allows us to analyze our actions and reactions more effectively. It also helps us identify and correct negative or self-destructive thinking patterns. Self-reflection also involves analyzing one's actions and their consequences. The Stoics taught that it is important to evaluate whether our actions are consistent with our principles and goals. This allows us to see where we can improve and how we can move more effectively toward our goals. Regularly analyzing our actions helps us avoid repeating mistakes and promotes personal growth. Reflecting on one's values and priorities also plays a key role in self-reflection. The Stoics believe that understanding our values helps us to direct our efforts and make more informed decisions. We must constantly review our priorities and beliefs to make sure they are in alignment with our actions and goals. Developing self-awareness is also related to the ability to accept constructive criticism. The Stoics taught that it is important to be open to feedback and use it for our own growth. Self-reflection includes a willingness to consider the opinions of others and use them to improve ourselves and our actions. It helps us avoid complacency and strive for continuous self-improvement. Practicing meditation and other methods of self-knowledge can also support the process of self-reflection. The Stoics advised using meditation as a means of deepening self-awareness and inner analysis. It helps us deepen our understanding of ourselves and develop inner peace and harmony. Regular practice of meditation and self-reflection promotes a deeper understanding of one's thoughts and emotions. Reflecting on your goals and dreams is also important for developing self-awareness. The Stoics believe that it is important to understand what is really important to us and how it relates to our inner state. Regular reflection on our goals and dreams helps us to focus on what we want to achieve and work towards it with greater clarity and determination. Self-work and self-improvement also require us to be patient and persistent. The Stoics believe that the path to self-knowledge and inner growth takes time and constant work on ourselves. We must be willing to recognize that self-observation and self-reflection is a process that takes time and patience, but pays huge dividends in the form of personal harmony and wisdom. Ultimately, self-reflection and self-observation are key practices for developing inner peace and achieving harmony. These practices help us to better understand ourselves, our goals and values, and to direct our lives accordingly. The Stoics believed that through a deep understanding of ourselves we can achieve true peace and fulfillment despite external circumstances. To solidify what we have been talking about, it is important to remember that the path to personal growth and inner peace is an ongoing process. Each of us faces challenges and difficulties, but it is our attitude toward them that determines how we will move forward. Stoic philosophy teaches us to see every challenge as an opportunity for growth and self-improvement, not just an obstacle in the way. By applying Stoic principles to our lives, we can learn to accept the inevitable with courage and resilience, manage our emotions, and develop inner strength. Each of these qualities helps us become more harmonious individuals and find meaning in every moment of our lives. The Stoics believe that true happiness and inner peace are found within us, not in external circumstances. Constant self-work, self-discipline, and mindfulness are key aspects that will help us succeed in this philosophical practice. No matter what challenges we face, our ability to maintain inner peace and focus our efforts on what we can control will determine our path to success and fulfillment. Keep in mind that Stoicism is not just a theory, but a practical guide for living. It is a system of values and principles that help us to better understand ourselves and the world around us, and to act in accordance with our true beliefs. With each step along the way, we become more aware and confident, and our lives are filled with deep meaning and harmony. We strive to make our videos not only informative, but also inspiring, so that each of you can find in them useful ideas and motivation for your life. If you liked this video and found it useful, do not forget to subscribe to our channel, put a like and leave a comment. Your opinion is very important to us and helps us to continue to create content that can really change your life. With us, you can always find support and wisdom to move forward, despite any difficulties. Join our community and together we will strive for personal growth and harmony, inspired by the philosophy of Stoicism and applying its principles in our daily lives. Your participation and support are of great importance to us, and we will be glad to see you among our regular viewers and like-minded people. Remember that every day is a new opportunity for growth and self-improvement. We are on this path together with you, and every step we take brings us closer to a more harmonious and satisfied life. Thank you for your attention and participation, and we hope that we will continue to explore the world of philosophy and psychology together, opening new horizons and opportunities for ourselves.